different circle that was missing on our map from his. And we found out that the military was looking in the wrong spot for him. And we shared this with DOD to make sure that they would search the right area. Because of our information, and they were searching in the wrong spot, then they could go to the right spot to search. They have found the crash site, but they've not recovered any parts of him. Any information that you discover that is different from what the military has on your loved one, share it. They might be able to help recover them sooner.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. They're coming up with a microphone.
I'm John Brand. I'm the brother-in-law of Sergeant George Curtis Green, Jr. My wife, Veronica, here is his sister. He had 11 sisters and one brother, all still living. He served with MACV SOG out of Khartoum, running reconnaissance missions into Laos. He was going in for his last mission, coming home to become a teacher. He wrote a letter to his mother, and unfortunately, the last thing he ever said to her was, "If I'm killed, my body won't be recovered." It's been 55 years. We pray that he's wrong.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Harry Costigian. I'm here from my brother, Michael Costigian. He was lost at sea May 5th, 1968. Michael was 19 years old at the time, and at the time I was a Marine in Vietnam. And the reason I'm here is to keep his memory alive. And I share with you everything that's happened, and I know the feeling because he's been gone for over 50 years.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I'm gonna try.
Hold the
I get
microphone
so
up.
emotional. I get so emotional at these things. I just want to be here too to represent my dad and to honor him, Robert Allen Ansball, and he's missing in Vietnam on 9/11/67. So I knew what it was before, and I was only 8 years old. But it's like everybody else is saying. I hear the same stories. We weren't allowed to talk about it. It was just something you didn't do. Dad was MACV SOC at first, and then he was Special Forces, and he was on airboat. And I have been working with Glenn Hines, which is Healing Through History, and trying to go to Vietnam to at least get some sort of closure. My mother passed away last September, and it was just very emotional. But my dad left 4 of his kids behind, and it was just we have actually joined Rolling Thunder, which helps promote the missing and to continue to find them. And I ran into a couple girls that I went to school with, and they said the same thing. We weren't allowed to talk about it in the school when we were so little. And I just remember the military car picking us up, taking us home. But I just want everybody to know, I guess we're all feeling the same. And thank you all for letting me speak.
Thank you.
I'm here for my brother, Dennis William O'Melia. The thing that I just want to point out, whatever was going on with him, I was reading his paperwork, and he volunteered to replace somebody else. And his plane went down. But it gives a good positive thought of what my brother was. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I can get untangled here. Yeah, my name is Luck Patterson. I'm the brother of Lieutenant Commander James Kelly Patterson. He was flying as a bombardier navigator on A6 Intruders when he was shot down on his 81st mission on the 19th of May, 1967. He was on the ground and in radio contact. In fact, the Air Force knew the tree he was hiding in on the last day that they spotted him. He went missing on 22 May 1967. There is evidence that I believe is credible that he was taken to the Soviet Union in Kazakhstan late 1967. There's a lady there who spoke to him and saw him face to face, and she won't identify herself. So I went there in 1997 to try to identify her, get on the news and so forth, and she still won't come out and be identified. It makes a lot of sense that he was taken there because he was operating the state-of-the-art electronics on the A6 Intruder that was getting by the Soviet-made defenses around Hanoi and also around Moscow. And the place where he was taken to, Priozersk, was a research center where they were researching missiles and whatnot, and I'm sure that they were trying to find ways of getting around what he was doing in the next to his pilot. His pilot, by the way, is Captain Eugene Red McDaniel, who was captured and spent 6 years in Hanoi, and he earned there the Navy Cross. And I just came from Red's house. He still lives in Alexandria with his wife on their 70th wedding anniversary. And he's a great man. He's still alive. I wanted to tell you a quick little story, though. And when the USS Enterprise pulled into Subic Bay for a little bit of downtime, he asked his commanding officer if he could come and see his kid brother in Da Nang. And he got permission. He went there and found out that I wasn't there. And in fact, I was out in the boonies, in the rice paddies. He found his way to me, and just as I was getting my platoon, our Marine Rifle platoon, ready for a 3-day combat patrol, I was just briefing my people when he showed up. He was not to be denied a visit, and so I issued him a flak jacket and an M16 and a helmet, and I took him with me as a combatant in a Marine Rifle platoon on a 3-day combat patrol. At the end of that, there was a Marine unit in the hills that was being shot up, and they are going to take my unit by helicopter to assist that unit. The last time I saw him was I was in a CH-30, a helicopter, Navy helicopter, CH-34, and 34 or 46. It's the Sea Knight. Anyway, last time I saw him, he was on an Amtrak heading back to our battalion, and that was about a month before he was shot down. So, Bombardier Navigator, he had a lot of information that the Vietnamese would have wanted, and that's why I believe he was probably taken to Kazakhstan. Anyway, there are many, many stories. I wish you would visit his websites, prisoner-of-war.com, and another one, usna63.com/lastcall. We'd appreciate it if you'd visit that and then see his story. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Yes, sir.
I'm really glad I get to follow him because my dad was a Bombardier Navigator and Naval Academy Class 63. My name's Rick Buell. I was in the military myself for 31 years in the Navy. Commander, retired. Hoorah. But my dad, I'm here about my dad. His name's Kenneth Richard Buell. What's that? Mic down. I'm here with my wife. Anyway, Kim right next to me here. It's my sad news to convey to you that I'm now the primary next of kin. My mother just passed last month, so I'm now holding the watch. One of two siblings, but my sister is busy living her life, so I'm happy to do this. But anyway, my dad flew off the USS America, 17 September 1972, right seat of an A6A Intruder. He flew with the skipper. And I don't, for those of you who would infer correctly, that means he was one of the best, handpicked by the skipper to fly with him. That night they were by themselves, solo, night attack mission. They left about 1 o'clock in the morning from the flight deck. They were given Hanoi hell at that time. That's why they were peace talks going on in Paris at that point in time in 1972. And their mission was to deliver ordnance. It's not important, the target, but they called Feet Dry. It's the last known contact we had with them, flying about 500 miles an hour, 500 feet off the ground on a heavily defended route with surface-to-air missiles. There was a airplane operating in the area about 20,000 feet in the air called Iron Hand, and their mission is to help suppress the surface-to-air missiles. And they watched the AAA fire follow what was likely my father's aircraft's path, and then they saw a fireball, or big orange fireball, that lasted about 10 seconds, and that's probably when it ended. I can tell you, my mom told me that she knew immediately when he was gone. She knew before they knocked on the front door. They had that kind of bond. So we always grew up pretty sure he was no longer with us. Now, the good news is DPAA has just recently done a survey. They found the crash site. Doesn't seem to be a lot left. It's been a long time. It's been 53 plus years. It looks like an eyewitness account said that the aircraft actually blew up in the air instead of crashing into a mountain, which may explain why all the wreckage is dispersed so widely and why eyewitnesses described just pieces of humans. But that was the reality. But, you know, they did an accounting. They found some aircraft debris. They're investigating it right now. I think it's unlikely we'll be able to find anything left of my father, just because it's been so long. But they keep looking, and that's why I wanted to talk again and let you all know that they don't stop looking. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank everyone who spoke during the remembrance ceremony. Your stories are very, very important, and it also, as you heard many of you say, your stories give others hope. So thank you very much. Now it's my pleasure to turn the microphone over to my boss and the director of DPAA, Mr. Kelly McKeag.
Thank you, Jeff. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In April, authority, direction, and control of DPAA was transferred to the Undersecretary of the Undersecretary of War for Personnel and Readiness, who, by the way, we are privileged to have with us today. The Honorable Anthony Tata is a West Point graduate. He has commanded at the 82nd Airborne Division, the 101st Airborne Division, and was the Deputy Commanding General of the 10th Mountain Division. He's a multi-tour combat veteran, culminating a distinguished 28-year career as a Brigadier General in the United States Army. A key element of the warrior ethos is, I will never leave a fallen comrade. Undersecretary Tata is a consummate warrior and champions that ethos. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Undersecretary of War for Personnel and Readiness, Anthony Tata.
Thanks, Kelly. And I'm going to do something I don't normally do. Normally I stand out front like Kelly just did and talk, but I don't know that I've been in front in the year I've been in this job in front of a more solemn group of folks. And so I'm going to go through some remarks that I prepared, reflecting on my own combat experience, reflecting on a personal experience that I had with the Defense POW MIA accounting agency. And I just want to go through that and then maybe open it up if you have questions or if you want to share something with me based on what I've said. But, you know, having served in combat, as Kelly mentioned, you know, I have full understanding of the quiet sacrifices that are made in distant locations, Afghanistan, Vietnam, Iraq. And I'm really super humbled to be standing up here today in front of all of you on behalf of our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. And particular, we're celebrating 250 years of American independence made possible by the brave men and women that we are talking about today. And I was fortunate to listen to a couple of the remembrances and feel honored to have done so. And when the folks that we've been talking about this morning answer that call to defend our country, we in the department answer a call of our own. And that is to take care of you, take care of the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, guardians that are out there, the department, civilians, and most importantly, the families of all involved, and including, in particular, our fallen heroes. And, you know, during the annual government briefing, we paid tribute to the brave men and women who served in the Vietnam War and who made the ultimate sacrifice to protect our safety and preserve our freedom. And this year, our remembrance carries an even deeper meaning as current events going on today with active combat remind us that the peace all of your loved ones fought for is precious and requires constant vigilance. The Vietnam War may have ceased more than half a century ago, but I know that for all of you, it's never really ended. And you have spent decades carrying your silent vigil, a group silent vigil, for your unaccounted for fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, family, and friends, and waiting for answers. And know that this War Department is focused on helping you find them, and know that this Undersecretary will not rest, and this department, and Kelly, and this Secretary will not rest until we do the very best that we can to have that full accounting and your loved ones are returned home. President Trump and Secretary Hegseth have made it clear through their commitments to our missing, their families, and our military, achieving peace through strength while restoring the warrior ethos, that we never, ever leave anyone behind, ever. And as a paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne, Air Assault Trooper in the 101st Airborne, Climb to Glory Trooper in the 10th Mountain Division, and operational conflicts in each one of those units, the concept of never leaving a fallen comrade behind is embedded in my soul. And to help deliver on that commitment that I talk about with full sincerity, me, Kelly, Secretary, cut through red tape within the department, and we realigned the DPAA from policy to personnel and readiness. And this wasn't just some check-the-box realignment. Having served in the previous administration as the acting Undersecretary for Policy, I was familiar with the DPAA mission. And as we were doing a full assessment of what mission belonged where within the current Department of War under this current secretary that's leading us from the front by example, how can we best restore that warrior ethos? Well, in personnel and readiness, it is 100% aligned that we are the people that are tasked with the mission of taking care of all of our families, whether or not they're today's active National Guard, Reserve, soldiers, sailors, Marine, Guardian families, or 50-year ago, 100-year ago conflict families still looking for their loved ones. And so we have put the full weight of our personnel enterprise directly behind DPAA, and we enable the entire enterprise to locate, recover, and identify our missing warriors, and to bring peace of mind to you and your families sooner, we hope. And I recently stood inside the DPAA lab. One of the first things I did once I received the mission from the Secretary, and it was official, I flew to the lab in Honolulu, and I visited there, and I was really taken with the fact that all the professionals in there, the sacred duty that they have, and the respect with which they treat every artifact that comes their way, and the fastidiousness with which they handle every case, and the sincere belief that they have in their mission to take care of you. It was quite emotional for me. And I walked through the whole lab, and I had the standard tour, and then I had a little bit of a deviation. And when I commanded a battalion in the 82nd Airborne, 1 Panther, 1505, I had a fellow battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Rennie Corey, who happened to be a very good friend of mine and was in my Saturday golf group and just a good cigar smoking, scotch drinking buddy of mine. And, you know, Rennie was killed on this mission in Vietnam, on his way to Vietnam in an MI helicopter, MI-17. And so the memorial, you know, so changed command in '99. I think it was 2001 when he was on the mission as part of the full accounting mission on MI-17 with his team. And there's a memorial in Honolulu that I did not know about. And it was quite emotional for me because Rennie embodied the spirit of never leave a fallen comrade behind. And when I stood next to that memorial, so many emotions welled within inside me because of my friendship with this man who gave his life looking for, planning the next mission to go find those fallen warriors so that he could answer questions to all of you. And I redoubled my commitment then, not that it needed any doubling at all, because it's 100% pure, to all of you to make sure that Kelly and team have full unmitigated support, whether it's the machinations of budget drudgery in the Pentagon to getting out and into the field to see his teams and talk to his folks. And, you know, I want you to know that for me and for the Secretary Hedseth, this DPAA mission is personal. And it's personal to the extent that I will do anything humanly possible to help Kelly and his team get you the answers that you deserve from this department. And I think that's what I came here to say on behalf of the Secretary, who's focused on rebuilding the warrior ethos, the bedrock of the warrior ethos, is that we never leave a fallen comrade behind. And the mission of DPAA is to find those fallen comrades and take care of the families. And so that's what I came here to say this morning. And I appreciate you giving me a piece of your agenda, because I know you have a very busy couple of days. And I would stop there, and if anybody has a question for me or an experience they would like to share, I've got a few minutes, and I would just, I'll answer any question. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes, sir. There was a while back when the family members joined together and made a concerted effort to get President Trump to declassify POW and MIA documents relative to, well, any war, but Vietnam War especially. What can you do, sir, to get that done? Is President Trump willing to, I mean, he seems to be willing to declassify all kinds of historic events. What can be done about getting classified documents on our war out to the public?
I know this president loves our servicemen and women, loves the families, wholly respects them. Being new to this mission, I'm new to that issue, and so what I can do is take it with my team and go work it and do the very best I can to get you an answer.
Thank you, sir.
So luck, Mr. Tata, just phone a friend. Phone a friend. I'm going to keep phoning a friend. And I'll talk about this. There is a bill before Congress that Congress just introduced to do exactly what you just said. Okay. So I'll talk more about that in my talk. Good.
There you go.
In the white.
Yep. We got a hand over here and a hand over here.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
The bill is Senate 3226, and in the House it's H.R. 6723. It's called Bring Our Heroes Home Act, and it is to release, it's a declassification legislation. And I want to know, is the U.S. government going to support it, or are they going to say, we don't want it?
And what I'm telling you is that I'm just first hearing
Okay,
about this.
but
and,
I'm just saying, you all need to call your congressmen and senators and get them to support it. It's in Homeland Security. Senator Rand Paul is the chairman. Representative Comer is the chairperson for oversight. They've got the bills. So you all need to do it, and hopefully the government is going to support it.
So my question is, why is it in Homeland Security and not the NDAA?
Well, maybe because it's important. It's about POWs and MIAs that's not been addressed. There's too many classified documents that are not released.
They're two different agencies. Department of Homeland Security has nothing to do with, to my knowledge, POW.
It doesn't. So
Yeah.
it's in the National Defense Authorization Act.
Right.
The Department of War is supporting it. I cannot speak for the other departments of the federal government.
That's our problem. It's the other people that are going to say, oh, we don't want this.
And you know that the three-letter agencies are the ones that have a say in this.
And we're saying we want them to say yes. The secrets, everybody else is
I understand.
giving out all this other information on everybody else, but when it comes to the POWs and MIAs, nobody wants to talk, nobody wants to release documents.
I'm up here telling you I want to talk. I'm up here telling you that I'm going to talk. I'm up here telling you, if you'll let me please answer the question, I'm up here telling you, I'm advocating for you. I just need to go learn what it says because I don't know what it says. And you confused me when you said it was with Homeland Security, which has nothing to do with the National Defense Authorization Act. So please let me go look at the legislation, work with Kelly, make sure that I can work with the secretary to align the proper support to get you the answers that you need. That's my commitment to you. Over here.
First of all, I wanted to thank you personally for the DPAA's continued support in searching for lost family members. My father was lost off the Coral Sea in 1967. He was a naval aviator. What I would like to ask is you will continue to commit to reversing the downward budgeting trend for DPAA. This has gone on far too long, and what we need is more money, not less money. Thank you.
I've already had conversations with I've already had conversations with our leadership to reverse that trend, and part of I'm going over to the Hill this afternoon to meet with 3 senators that are on the Senate Armed Services Committee to, in part, talk about the DPAA budget and the larger budget for the department. So I absolutely support increasing the budget for DPAA so that we can get out more teams. I've been the undersecretary in charge of this for about 6 weeks, so you have my full commitment to you know, on your behalf. Kelly and I, one of the first meetings we had was talking about that chart. I can't see it, I don't have my glasses on, but you're probably holding up a chart he showed me that shows a decline in budget, and I'm fully committed to within the larger defense budget increasing the budget for DPAA, because it's a direct correlation for how much we can get out, how many teams we can deploy into the field, and how much research we can do, and how many remains that we can process. There's a direct correlation between budget and that activity. And the more money, the more questions that we answer for you. Yes, sir.
I must say, sir, that your presence here and your statement is reassuring. And but I want to give you an example. I've mentioned my friend, the Hasenbeck family. His sister of Paul Hasenbeck, who was lost, testified before the Missouri legislature when we were advocating in favor of the very bill that has now been brought up again. And Jeannie said, in testimony before the House Veterans Committee in 2017, Jeannie Hasenbeck eloquently stated, when Paul went to Vietnam, I know he expected to be wounded. I know he expected to be killed, but he never expected to be abandoned. And I feel that's what we've done. Everyone on this list deserves, after they gave their all and did everything their country asked of them, to have a resolution so that they can be brought home. I feel like your presence and your statement advocates in this direction, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. And what I can say on behalf of the President and the Secretary, as their representative here before you, we stand fully behind doing everything possible to bring your loved ones home. And if that means increasing budget, if that means declassifying information, I have to look at what that bill says, so I can't really comment on it. But there's, in my mind, there's very little reason that we should be withholding any information, and we should just be, pedal to the metal, trying to get as much information as possible, go to these locations, find remains, and answer questions and take care of families. So I think my guys over here giving me the high sign, I got to exit stage right. But let me just say, I appreciate your passion, and ma'am, I really do appreciate your passion. And understand my passion too. I lost a close friend on this mission. I'm super committed to helping you answer your questions, and your pain never goes away, and I understand that. I lost 83 soldiers in Afghanistan. I understand what it means to have loss, and I understand from a family member perspective that it's my job to take care of you and answer as many questions as possible. And so on behalf of the President, on behalf of the Secretary, what I represent to you is that we're going to do everything humanly possible to answer your questions. Thank you very much.
It really has only been 6 weeks. But I think what you heard in these few minutes is that unmitigated support that Mr. Tata not only talks, but he also walks that walk. After my first meeting, he immediately went to the Deputy Secretary of War to advocate on behalf of DPAA and all of you. Within his portfolio is not only the active duty National Guard and Reserve forces of the United States, but also Gold Star families. That's what he represents. He represents you. So I hope you understand that when he says it's personal for him, it is deeply personal. But already you've heard that he visited our laboratory. He met with our military and civilian personnel. He stood in the family viewing room to hear the story of a family that got that ultimate answer. Mr. Tate, on behalf of the families, we wanted to present this to you. Wow. It was designed by an Army staff sergeant that works in DPAA. And again, on behalf of the families, just our thanks. And more importantly, not just for today, but what you do for us in this important mission.
Kelly, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And sir, if you could hold on, we have one more presentation for you. Jeannie, come on up. Thank you.
I didn't know. I just thought I was. Thank everybody. Where do you want me?
Right here, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, on behalf of Mission POW MIA, we are presenting you with this flag that was signed by the JFA, the DET 2, and the MIA families in Vietnam a couple weeks ago.
That's amazing. Well,
Never forget. Never read a fallen comrade.
I'm going to fly this off my balcony in Florida. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
And sir, their team just came back from Vietnam, and they visited a JFA site. They visited our detachment, and that's who all signed the flag.
This is really emotional. Thank you so much. I
Okay. A man who needs no introduction, again, my boss and the director of DPAA, Mr. Kelly McKeag. Sir, over to you. A conversation with you.
Well, good morning again. Mr. Tata, thank you very much. My time. A couple of things up front. First of all, thank you to Mission POW MIA for your generosity in providing the breakfast today and tomorrow. And more importantly, and we'll hear more about Mission POW MIA later today, when it comes to, thank you, when it comes to what they do for us, for you. Secondly, you all know this, thanks to Jennifer Nazarenko, last year we retooled this annual government briefing. Instead of talking at you, we wanted to talk with you. So throughout the day, you will have panels, you will have Let's Talk, and you will see and hear and interact with us throughout the day and tomorrow. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I was shocked to learn that there are 10 families in this room that this is their first government meeting, which I find extraordinary as long as we have been working this mission, as you know, since 1985, and more importantly, the fact that they are here. So if I could have the 10 new families stand up, please, so that the others can see you. If this is your first AGB. Well, we are very glad to have you and welcome, and I hope that we are able to provide you answers, maybe not the ultimate answer yet, but I'm hopeful that you will have a productive and fruitful time with us here at DPAA. I wanted to offer you some strategic thoughts, and more importantly, a lot of what I tell you will be further refined, further added to by my colleagues today and tomorrow. I would offer to you that my slides can work. I've told you this. This is my coming up on, in fact, this September, it will be my 9th year as a civilian, my 12th year in this mission. I've told you for the last, well, ever since I became director in 2017, 9 years ago, I've told you that my commitment, our commitment to you, was that the Vietnam War accounting mission will be our #1 operational priority. And we have fulfilled that unequivocally for 9 years. And while the overall budget, and I'll talk about that in a minute, is coming down, as this gentleman showed, as you all have seen in front of you, it is still the #1 operational priority. We will send more teams, we will expend more resources on this mission than we do for the other conflicts. Now, a lot of that is self-serving on our part, simply because this is the war, this is the conflict that we know the most about. Every single one of your cases, I guarantee you, is that thick or thicker. We've been doing it in earnest since 1985. And while we didn't always do it to the degree of professionalism, commitment, and consistency, I can tell you that we are this day and have been doing it with that determination, that professionalism, and that consistency. The research analysts that you will meet with as they talk to you about your case summary are extraordinary. You'll hear from the people that have been in the field. We have teams in Vietnam right now. We have an investigation team in Laos right now, this very day. Mission POW, that delegation was just with a recovery team this past week. This is and will remain the #1 operational priority, again, simply because we know the most about it, and it's our obligation to follow through on that research that has been conducted on those multiple investigations, recoveries, to continue to work your cases. I'm glad Lorraine was able to share with you the great news about us finding the dog tags of her brother. What she didn't tell you is that we had spent years returning to that site, looking for that site. We had spent years researching her and her sister's case. And now we have an answer that hopefully will lead to the remains of their brother coming home. Now, that gory slide that you have there, and you know, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and there is no greater picture than that slide. It is ugly. Now, juxtapose that against what I spoke to you 2 years ago, which was we presented to the department the fact that time is our enemy, numbers are our enemy, and therefore, unless there's a commitment of increased resources, we're not going to get the answers that we need to get. So for 2 years, 2024, 2025, our budget was at its highest level. Now, there is a cause and effect relationship here, as you can imagine, because with more resources comes the fact that more teams are out in the field, more accessions are coming into the laboratory, and more importantly, more remains and identifications are coming into the laboratory. And as such, there is a correlation. In the same year that we were able to send out 105 teams, in the same year, we, milestone record, 231 Americans were identified and brought home. Now, that was 2025. In this town, that's ancient history. And so our second year of that budget, high budget, again, resulted in 105 teams. Along with the rest of the department, we had to give. And so we have a significant reduction, as you see here. This year, we are only able to send out not 105, but only 62. This coming fiscal year, which starts October 1st, it will only be 48. That's why that red line is so precipitous and why that red line is on a steep descent. Now, we have made the pitch. Mr. Tata has made the pitch, not only in the building, but also on Capitol Hill. The Vietnam Veterans Association of America, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, are championing this mission, this budget issue with their members of Congress. I'm sure if you are meeting with your members as you're here in Washington these 2 days, I'm sure you will share with them. The good news is that that championing, that advocacy is starting to make a difference. I met with Senator Fisher from Nebraska. Any Nebraskans in the room? Well, your senator has put in a bill, in the authorization bill, to increase DPA's budget by $40 million. Now, what that means is, and that's all we're talking about, it is chump change. It is peanuts. Because for $40 million added to DPA's budget in FY 2027, we will get back, not 48, we will get back to 105. That's all we're talking about. And so Senator Fisher and her colleagues want the first of 4 steps, has already put a marker down for $40 million increasing in FY 27, which will get us back to this 105 teams being able to deploy. Now, there is this thing called the government shutdown. The formal name of it is a lapse of appropriations. This town is so goofy. We were hit hard by this, as you all read in the paper. Now, when the Congress is not able to execute its duties to pass an appropriations bill, it creates this government shutdown. And so this is very harmful to us simply because the longer it goes, the more teams we are not able to deploy. And so as a result, the first joint field activity in Laos was canceled. That was 4 recovery teams. That, unfortunately, was compounded by a severe fuel shortage that affected the 4th JFA, another 4 recoveries. However, we were able to, in fact, that's the investigation team that's in Laos right now, trying to find answers and, more importantly, expand the research that has already been done to advance cases and case progression. The likelihood of this almost seems to be an annual repeat. This will be harmful to DPAA, as it will to the rest of the federal government. Again, if there is no appropriations bill, if there's no continuing resolution, we have what you see here. So again, please tell your members how hurtful, harmful this was, and to avoid that as much as possible. Last year, we were able to account for, Last year, we were able to account for 8 of your families that you have been with. 8 families received the ultimate answer. Those 8 were part of the 231 that we identified in 2025. An incredible number for Vietnam simply because, as you know, oftentimes, not because of a lack of effort, not because of a lack of resources, it's oftentimes that we are much lower than 8 identifications. So again, I think I attribute this to the fact that we had more teams in the field in Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia than we've ever had before, which is why those 8 now are home. You all know that we communicate with the families in ways that we take your messaging as we interact with our foreign counterparts. Over the years, in just my 12 years in this mission space, I have seen cooperation from Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia increase appreciably. And the reason it increases is because we tell your story to them. I was there in December in Hanoi, and I spoke to the Vice Defense Minister, and I relayed the story of Navy Commander Shurik, an A6A pilot who was shot down over North Vietnam, and I thanked the Deputy Minister for the fact that it was a Vietnamese recovery team that we had trained that found his remains. Commander Shurik left a wife and 3 children. Sadly, his wife and his daughter passed away. However, his son and daughter, who were 4 and 5 when their father went missing, brought him home to Arlington where he was interred. Now, Commander Shurik happened to be from Norfolk, Nebraska. Serendipitously, yesterday I met with Congressman Flood from Nebraska, who is providentially from Norfolk, Nebraska. I showed Congressman Flood the pictures from the funeral, and he says, I was there. He said, my father and his father were in the same high school class. He was deeply moved by the fact that this hometown hero was now being buried at Arlington National Cemetery, and told me that that $40 million ad that his colleague in the Senate had put in one of the bills, he was going to champion himself, because for him, it was personal. But Commander Shurik was one of these 8. And again, found by a Vietnamese recovery team that we had trained. And so I told the Deputy Minister how impactful that funeral was, how impactful it was for that son and that daughter, and then most importantly, the day he was interred at Arlington with full military honors, he was buried alongside his wife that the Navy chose, the family and the Navy chose to do. So again, our host nations that we are highly dependent upon understand this mission, understand why it's important to you. So each year we have technical talks, consultations. We are actually hosting a delegation from Vietnam and Laos here in Washington in August. And we will again talk to them about how can we make this mission better? How can you help us become more efficient, more effective, and more importantly, produce more results? And I'm confident, just like I have been over these last 11 years, that they will respond accordingly. I think I shared with you all last year that we, the United States, now, in the eyes of the Vietnamese, are in the highest level of what they call their strategic relationships. A year and a half ago, 2 years ago, they elevated the United States to the comprehensive strategic partnership. On par with China, on par with Russia. That's how the Vietnamese now look at the United States. What does that mean for you? What does that mean for this mission? Well, one would think that as economically prosperous as Vietnam is, as a vital partner in the region that Vietnam is, that they would walk away from this. That they would say, well, we've already achieved what we need to achieve in terms of a relationship with the United States. This mission, as you all know, was the foundational building block to that comprehensive partnership. And the Vietnamese recognize it. They recognize it in such extraordinary ways that this continues to be an important element within the bilateral relationship. The acting Secretary of the Navy was just in Vietnam earlier this week. He visited one of our recovery teams that was operating there, and in meeting with the Vietnamese president, one of the things the president said to him was that Vietnam was still steadfastly committed to ensuring that the POW MIA mission in Vietnam would continue to receive tremendous support from their government. And we're seeing that. The challenge is on our end, whereby commitment from Vietnam must be met with a commensurate commitment and resources here in the United States. And that's why, again, we're doing everything we can to get that message on Capitol Hill, and more importantly, in the building. I mentioned to you that Mr. Tata had spoken to the Deputy Secretary of Defense. I keep doing that. How long's it been? Anyway, all right. He met with the Deputy Secretary to tell him and explain to him the impact of this $40 million shortfall. That's all we're talking about. And so whether we fix it in the building, in the Pentagon, or whether we fix it on Capitol Hill, things are at least trending in the right direction from a will and, more importantly, a deliberate intention to make this right. Just some miscellaneous things to talk to you about. So our principal deputy director, you've met her before, Fern Sumter Winbush, left to take a executive role with USO. You all familiar with what USO does? They serve our military families, our deployed members, veterans, active duty, all over the world. So she left, and thankfully we were able to hire an extraordinary, talented, connected individual. You'll meet her next time. She is actually in Scotland. So she came aboard, what month is this? She came aboard June 12th. And then she asked me, hey, can I take leave? I have this trip to Scotland with my husband. Anyway, in fairness, she's actually been doing part-time with us. Jennifer Walsh is her name. Extraordinary, talented executive in the Department of War. She has been with the department for almost 30 years, well connected in the building, especially on budget. And so we're very pleased to have a lady of her talents, and she is our principal deputy director. I put these other two up here just, again, context, because as you know, Russia and China had a say in the Vietnam War. 4 years ago, we opened up dialogue with China, and we restored cooperation from China. We have had 3 field missions, one of which resulted in an ID of a World War II pilot. All of these are supported by, accompanied by, facilitated by the PLA. When our teams deploy, it is with Chinese Army officers and enlisted that are accompanying our team as they do their investigation or recovery. A team leaves for China next month. So that'll be the fourth mission, both a recovery team and investigation team, again, in China. Now, why is that important? It's important because this continues to be a humanitarian effort, a carve-out, that despite how challenging the relationship is, and it is, as you know, they still cooperate and talk to us when it comes to finding your loved ones. And there are missing from Vietnam in China. We're working to host them on an archival exchange this fall, where, as we always do when we have these archival exchanges, we will give them a list of cases we would like information on. And oftentimes, while it may take them a little bit of time, they will provide us those answers, which we can then exploit. All of these cases, all of these field missions that I told you about, all resulted from an archival exchange at some point in the past. And so we're very hopeful that this will continue, and we will leverage and exploit this window as long as it's open, simply because China is cooperating. Now, since the Ukrainian invasion by Russia, there has been not zero, but contact, communications have been at a low point. Now that's trending, because over the last 6 months, we've seen the Russians start asking more about cooperation and restoring that. You all know there's a joint commission on POW MIAs that we've had with Russia since 1992. That commission has been without a Russian co-chairman for the last 3 years, simply because that gentleman unfortunately passed away. Just last week, they named a chairman for their side of the commission. So our chairman, you've met him before, General Robert Fogelsong, is planning to send a letter and meet with his counterpart at some point in the near future. Simply, again, to open up dialogue and hopefully get things moving, that Russia looks at this mission, humanitarian mission, just as China is. That it should not be subject to the whims and vagaries of politics, geopolitics, and tensions between the two countries. Again, my colleagues will build upon much of this in the coming day and a half. It's always great to see you. You know, I think Jennifer said it well this morning, that this is not an AGB, this is really a family reunion. We consider us, we hope you consider us, we consider you our family. I tell my team this all the time. We have a twofold mission. That twofold mission is, number one, to account for your loved one. And we do that with our researchers, our uber-talented researchers, our analysts, our scientists, and all the support people that make this thing happen. But it's also to communicate with you. And that's why we have these AGBs. That's why we have the family member updates that many of you have attended. Communicating and connecting is just as important as it is with accounting for your loved ones. This is that sacred obligation, that moral imperative that we have told you for years, that we live it. We don't just talk it, we live it, simply because we know your loved ones made the supreme sacrifice. You deserve those long-sought answers, and that's why we're here, and more importantly, that's why we look forward to this two-day event. Next year, I think we're going to not call it the AGB, we're going to call it the AGC, and we're going to call it the Annual Government Conversation, because that's what we're here for, is to converse with you, to connect with you, and more importantly, hopefully provide you answers, and more importantly, ultimately, the answer. God bless you all.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. McCaig. In the past couple months, and I think you heard just a bit when Jeannie and Mandy presented the flag to Mr. Tata. Over the last couple of months, Mission POW MIA has made 2 trips to Vietnam under what is referred to as the Vietnam War Accounting Initiative. It's a program to assist the Vietnamese in locating their missing and unaccounted for from the war. Today we've got 3 family members who made the trip, and they're going to talk with us about those experiences. The facilitator for this is Lieutenant Colonel Jeremy Smith, our Deputy Director for the Indo-Pacific Directorate. So Jeremy and your team.
Thanks, Jennifer. Because the director brought us into this intimate setting already, I just want to say something personal, like from me, and that I don't take it lightly that I'm surrounded by Gold Star families, and they're your Gold Star families whose loved one is still missing. And so I say that to just personally thank you for your sacrifice, because when I describe this mission to others, I always talk about the unique pain that you have, and it's a pain that others don't understand. And so one of the reasons why we're going to have 3 Gold Star families on this stage today is to share those feelings as they relate to the trip that Jennifer mentioned. So please join me in welcoming Eric Fort, Natalie Rauch, and Jeannie Huffman. So as I just told everyone here, I again want to personally thank you. I'm humbled that I can share the stage with you today in this setting that we have here. And so just to start off, Jeannie, can you tell us a little bit about the trip? And I'd like to hear from all 3 of you about your feelings initially from the trip you just made.
First, is this on? Okay. First, I want to thank you for having us on this panel. I wanted to thank Director McKeag and Jennifer Nazarenko for putting it together. I'll tell you a little bit about myself first. So I was only 2 weeks old. Can you hear me now? Okay, I was only 2 weeks old when my dad left for Vietnam, 5 months old when he's missing. This is where I'm going to break down because it's really hard. Talking about my father. You got this. And I feel how you guys feel, because I mean, I have skin in the game like you guys. So to be able to do what we do through Mission POW MIA has been very powerful, and I mean, it touches my heart. So to start, Mission formed about 3 years ago in 2023. We have Vietnam veterans, part of our organization. We have MIA families and concerned citizens. We have so many different people that are part of our organization so we can help them do research on their cases. The veterans help. They want to help the families. So fast forward a little bit, 2024, we were invited by USIP, which is United States Institute for Peace, to Vietnam. They wanted to bring families over to meet with other Vietnam families that have their loved ones that are missing. So I was apparently the only family member able to go, and it kind of opened my eyes up to, you know, we're not different. I didn't know what to expect when I went over. You know, we weren't really able to talk about it growing up. So when I basically showed up in Hanoi and 110-degree temperature, and I was meeting with these families. We're so much alike. We're just wanting answers. We want our loved ones home. So the next year, 2025, last year actually, we spoke with the Department of War. They offered us an agreement to basically, they're going to help us with funding to continue this effort to help find the Vietnamese missing in action. But we said we will only do it if we can continue to help the U.S. soldiers come home, our MIAs. They agreed. And so this year, in April, I went along with 2 other family members and some veterans, and actually Colonel Brazelton, he's a POW, he's somewhere, there he is. And he went along with us, and it just opened their eyes too to, there's another side. There's both sides. We just want answers. The war's over. We're ready for our loved ones to come home on both sides. So June, Eric, Natalie, Mandy, Robbins, and we had several other families, and even my sister went along on this trip. And it was brutal with the heat, long days, but we met with the JFA on the site. We met with the embassy. We met with families, veterans. We were on all levels speaking with so many people and learning that we can do this. We can all work together and bring our loved ones home.
I'm going to try to get through this and not get upset. It's easy to run through your mind before you get up here, and then when you see your family, it's hard. I think for me, life-changing would be about the easiest way I can describe this trip. It's going to take a while to digest and absorb the experience. I think like we talked a little bit about yesterday, Jeremy, for me, it was interesting because my wife had mentioned one time, as for many of us, our only connection to Vietnam is through tragedy. And so when I had the opportunity to go, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how I would feel. I didn't know And when I got my feet on the ground, I realized for the first time in my life, it was a month and a day before I was born. This is the closest my dad had ever been to me in 58 years. And so the experience suddenly became very surreal. Not just my experience, not just Jeannie's and Ruth's, Natalie, Mandy, those that were with us, but you as well. Because for me, I knew the importance of being in those museums, being boots on the ground in some of these places, quite literally off the beaten path, looking for answers, trying to help find things that might help you, not just me, but your cases as well. It became really surreal in that first couple of really hot minutes at the airport. And the reality hit is this is real. And we've got to make sure we capitalize on every single minute we're here for any case that we can find to help information for. And I will say, Mission and the team did a phenomenal job to put together, working us like dogs every day. I don't know that I'd go back tomorrow. It's a 15-hour flight just from here to Korea, but I'd go next week. I just need a couple minutes to repair. But I would honestly say the emotions I'm still processing, and I think it's going to take some time to really go through that. But I would do it again in a heartbeat, no questions asked.
Thank you. Thanks, Eric. I was actually just informed that we have a special guest that's going to be introduced here in a few minutes. So unfortunately, we're going to have to pause this panel, and then we'll come back to it. I'm not saying that you were too long-winded, Eric.
Off, didn't I?
Yeah, well, you didn't run everyone off, I promise. But we're going to pause for now, and we're going to have the special guest, and then we'll come back to the panel. Okay?
You know, they say flexibility is the what's that? Oh, I'm sorry. We are going to have to be a little bit flexible today. We have a special guest that has just arrived. I think they're getting him wired up for just a minute. And he and Mr. McKeag will be in. We will pick back up with this panel as soon as he and Mr. McKeag are finished, and I just ask your indulgence, please. So if you can stand by for just a minute.